They say desire is one of the most mysterious forces of human life, silent, yet strong enough to shape civilizations, destroy kingdoms, and rebuild them again. When we talk about the desire for love, connection, and companionship, we often think of it in its simplest form: one man, one woman, walking side by side through life. But beneath the surface of social order and cultural rules lies something more ancient, more complex, something written deep within the subconscious of every human being. And sometimes that complexity reveals itself in ways that challenge what we think we know about relationships. One of those ways is the idea of women who desire multiple husbands, a concept both fascinating and unsettling to many. But psychology, as it always does, asks us not to judge, but to understand. To understand the mind of a woman who desires multiple husbands, we have to travel back in time, not in history books, but into the primal architecture of human nature. Long before cities and laws, before religion or romance, there existed only survival. Men hunted, women gathered, and together they fought the chaos of the world. In some regions, especially in harsh climates where life was uncertain, the idea of a woman having more than one husband was not just accepted, it was practical. It ensured protection, resources, and stability. It was not about lust, it was about life. But even as society evolved, small echoes of that old psychology remained. The desire for emotional security, multiple sources of care, or simply a broader sense of connection that one man alone might not fulfill. Modern psychology explains this through the lens of emotional multiplicity. Every person, whether man or woman, contains more than one emotional need. Some people are drawn to stability, others to passion. Some seek comfort, others adventure. When a woman desires multiple husbands, it might not always be about having more men. It might be about fulfilling more dimensions of her emotional self. One partner might represent peace, another excitement, another protection, another understanding. To the logical mind, it may sound like confusion, but to the emotional brain, it can feel like balance. It's not greed, it's an attempt at wholeness. But of course, society doesn't always see it that way. We are taught from birth to see love as possession. You are mine, I am yours. Anything beyond that feels like betrayal. Yet, if you strip away the rules for a moment and look at human psychology in its rawest form, you'll see that desire doesn't follow social contracts. It follows emotional gravity. A woman who desires multiple husbands might be expressing a deeper instinct, to connect on multiple frequencies, to find strength not in one pillar but in many. For some, that comes from trauma, a father figure absent, love inconsistent, safety conditional, leading to an adult craving for multiple anchors. For others, it comes from curiosity and a search for identity, the need to experience different mirrors of the self. In therapy, psychologists sometimes talk about attachment projection. It means that we project parts of ourselves onto others, seeking to complete the missing pieces of who we are. Some women, consciously or not, might feel that no single man embodies the full emotional spectrum they seek. One man might make her feel powerful, another makes her feel safe, another makes her feel seen. It's not that she wants many lovers, it's that she wants to feel fully alive, and that's a complex human truth. Desire at its core is rarely logical. It's psychological poetry, written in the language of the subconscious. Yet there's another layer, one that touches on evolution. Men, biologically, are wired to spread their genes, women to protect and nurture theirs. But in some evolutionary theories, polyandry, a woman with multiple husbands, offered a hidden benefit. It increased the survival chances of offspring, because more men felt invested in the child's life. In certain Himalayan and African societies, this wasn't seen as immoral. It was seen as wise. So perhaps, buried deep in the human psyche, there exists a faint ancestral memory of that adaptive behaviour. Not as a lifestyle choice, but as a psychological echo that occasionally stirs in modern hearts. Still, when a man hears of such desire, something inside him resists. It touches the nerve of his deepest instinct, the need for significance, for being chosen, for being enough. And that's where this conversation becomes not just about women, but about men too. When a man feels threatened by the idea of a woman desiring more than one partner, it's not jealousy alone, it's existential. Because deep down, every man wants to be the one who completes her, who satisfies her soul. But what if her desire isn't about his lack, but her complexity? What if it's not rejection, but reflection, showing him that human needs are layered, that no one person is meant to be everything for another? In the quiet corners of psychology, some researchers even argue that polyandrous desire, the wish for multiple husbands, often arises not from rebellion, but from empathy, from the awareness that different people bring different energies, and that connection itself is a mosaic. It's the longing for a deeper, multidimensional experience of love, not fleeting, but full. And though society may never fully accept it, understanding it can open a window into the female psyche, one shaped not just by romance, but by history, biology, emotion, and the eternal hunger for meaning. When we enter the second layer of this topic, the conversation moves beyond instincts into consciousness, into the realm of psychology and emotion that defines the modern woman's world. Today, women are more self-aware than ever. They read, reflect, question, and evolve. For some, the traditional idea of marriage feels limiting not because they want more partners, but because they want more experiences of themselves. And in that journey, the idea of desiring multiple husbands becomes a symbol, not of disloyalty, but of expansion. To love differently, to feel differently, to live without fear of being misunderstood. And that desire, when looked at with compassion instead of judgment, reveals something universal, that every human being, man or woman, is constantly searching for emotional freedom. Many psychologists believe this is tied to self-actualization, the process of becoming who you truly are. A woman who feels drawn toward multiple emotional bonds might be exploring her full capacity for connection, not through rebellion, but through honesty. She might have outgrown the illusion that one person can be everything, the hero, the friend, the healer, the dreamer. Maybe she simply accepts that life gives us different mirrors to see ourselves. And though it may never fit the script of society, it fits the rhythm of her inner world. To understand her is to see that behind the desire for multiple husbands often lies the desire for multiple reflections of love itself. For men, hearing this can trigger mixed emotions, confusion, anger, even insecurity. But psychology reminds us that every human being, deep down, craves variety in emotional experience. We form friendships with many people, admire multiple artists, trust several mentors. Yet when it comes to love, we demand exclusivity, even when our emotional capacity is infinite. This tension between nature and nurture, between instinct and morality, defines the beauty and tragedy of human relationships. And that's why understanding, not judgment, becomes the bridge between men and women. Culturally, we must also remember that polyandry, women with multiple husbands, still exists today, though rarely discussed. In some communities in Tibet, Nepal, and parts of India, it survives not as fantasy but as function. Families share husbands to protect property, maintain harmony, and ensure economic balance. But beyond the structure lies a truth, that every human relationship is a negotiation between heart and survival. Whether in a mountain village or a modern city, the psychology is the same. People seek to belong, to be seen, to be safe. The forms may differ, but the longing is eternal. In therapy, when women express such desires, psychologists often explore not the why, but the what behind them. What emotion does it fulfill? What void does it fill? Sometimes it's about power, the ability to choose, to not depend solely on one man for emotional or financial stability. Sometimes it's about safety, knowing that if one bond breaks, another remains. Sometimes it's about identity, the right to define love on one's own terms. And sometimes it's simply about curiosity, the human instinct to explore beyond boundaries. Each answer is deeply personal, yet rooted in the same soil, the need to feel whole. So what does all this mean for us, especially for men trying to understand women on a deeper level? It means that love is not ownership. Connection is not control. To truly love someone, you must allow them the freedom to be themselves. Even if that self carries contradictions, The woman who desires multiple husbands is not always searching for more men. She's searching for more life. And whether we agree or not, her story reminds us that the human heart was never designed to fit inside the walls of social convention. It beats to the rhythm of its own truth, and no rule, no label, no system can silence that rhythm forever. In the end, understanding such psychology doesn't mean accepting or rejecting it. It means looking deeper into the human experience, where every desire, however strange it seems, has a reason. Where love is not a contract but a mirror of our deepest emotions. And if we listen closely without fear or ego, we may realize that the psychology behind women who desire multiple husbands is not so different from the psychology behind anyone who has ever wanted to feel fully alive, loved, seen, free, and whole. And maybe in the end, that's what this entire conversation teaches us, that human desire is far more intricate than our traditions, more emotional than our logic, and more spiritual than our rules. When we talk about women who desire multiple husbands, we're not really talking about numbers or marriage or boundaries. We're talking about the soul's search for completion. We're talking about the heart's refusal to settle for half experiences. Some people are born to find depth in one bond, others find meaning in many. The truth is, love was never meant to be symmetrical. It was meant to be real. And what's real for one person may look strange to another. Yet both are human, both are sincere, both are just trying to make sense of the same endless longing that has lived in every heart since the beginning of time. The psychology behind this desire isn't about rebellion, it's about reflection. It's about women and men trying to understand who they are beyond what the world expects of them. In every culture, in every century, there have been hearts that did not fit the mold, that questioned the definition of enough. And instead of labeling them as wrong or broken, maybe it's time we see them as explorers of emotion. People unafraid to ask what love could mean beyond boundaries. Because when we stop judging, we start learning. We begin to see that human relationships aren't about perfection, they're about connection. And sometimes connection is messy, complex, overlapping, yet deeply honest. For men, understanding this psychology is not about agreeing with it, but about evolving through it. It's about learning to see women not as possessions, but as partners in the grand experiment of life. It's about realizing that strength isn't in control, it's in comprehension, in the ability to hold space for the mystery of another person without trying to cage it. Because the moment you stop competing with her desires, you start connecting with her truth. And that truth might show you something profound about yourself, your fears, your needs, your own layers of emotion that you never explored. That's the beauty of understanding psychology. It doesn't divide, it deepens. So when we speak of women who desire multiple husbands, we're not describing a movement. We're witnessing a mirror of evolution, emotional, psychological, and spiritual. It's the echo of ancient instincts meeting modern consciousness. It's the clash between the safety of tradition and the courage of individuality. And whether you agree or not, it reminds us that love is not static. It evolves, like everything else alive. And in that evolution lies a powerful truth. People are not meant to fit love into definitions. Love is meant to fit itself into people. So as this story closes, remember this. Understanding someone's desire doesn't mean you have to share it. It means you have learned to respect it, and respect is the highest form of love. In the end, all of us, men and women alike, are searching for the same thing. Not more partners, not more validation, but more meaning. To feel known, to feel safe, to feel alive. And maybe, when we start listening to the heart without judgment, we'll realize that love in all its shapes and forms was never about who belongs to whom. It was always about who truly understands whom.